My earliest memories are nothing like my recent. Mom wasn't alone, Dad was at home, everything seemed normal and decent. I remember riding outside on my bike, fresh breath of air, wind in my hair, nothing a child could dislike. Birthday after birthday was spent with joy. Parents singing, balloons swinging, all the signs of a happy little boy. By the age of 6, my life became rearranged. Empty bottles filled the floor, tears began to pour, my happy life was forever changed. Dad eventually decided enough was enough, waved the white flag, packed his bag, saying, "Don't worry, kid, you're tough." This was too much for Mom's heart to bear. Drinking away the pain, losing her brain, a loving mother was no longer there. Soon our house would be the next thing to leave. No money was made, bills were unpaid, another loss I now had to grieve. The new house was hardly a home to me. No yard to play ball, all dark and so small. Back in my old life, I strive to be. Then Mom met him, a user and abuser who turned my bright future very dim. Each day he would break me a little more, breaking down my guard, hitting me hard, leaving me broken and sore. The alcohol consumed Mom's brain, doing nothing to help as each punch I felt left me with nothing but disdain. I waited for someone to notice a sign, matted hair in clumps, the bruises and bumps, but everyone thought it was completely fine. I began to feel emotions I had never felt, out of focus, leaving me hopeless for this awful life I had been dealt. Human contact felt like a knife, a simple touch, my fist clutched, a symptom of my corrupted life. Anger began to consume my thoughts. As I age, more and more rage, my blackened heart slowly rots. The need to no longer feel weak and alone, feeling whole, gaining control, turned me into his tiny little clone. I often dream of a different result. If Mom got better, he never met her, could I be a happy adult? What if someone had noticed the signs, took me away, a safe place to stay, where support comes in different kinds? What if I had gotten the help I required, to let go of rage, to begin to change for the successful life I always desired? What if I had met others just like me, to not feel alone or all on my own, a positive place to be happy and free? Instead of a life of bruises and side effects, if I had gotten the help I needed rather than continuously mistreated, I could have the kind of life everyone respects. Now all I can do is pray for the next abused child, to get the help they need, live the life I wish to lead, to be noticed so their story doesn't remain unfiled.
My name is Holly Beadle, and I'm the executive director at Isabel's House. So I oversee all of the daily operations, the day in and day out of the house, all the programming for the kiddos and the families, communications, fundraising, and a liaison to our board of directors. So Isabel's House is a crisis nursery. So we are there 24/7 every day of the year for families, and we care for the children of families who are in crisis. So our whole goal is to prevent child abuse and neglect and strengthen those families. So the children that stay with us are ages birth to 12 years old. So there may be lots of different things that they've experienced that have caused trauma that may not be abuse or neglect, but are traumatic. And so some of the things that we're starting to address a little bit more is that trauma. And so we work hard to make sure that our environment is conducive to that, and are working to get closer and closer to a trauma-informed environment and a trauma-informed approach with our staff. We will have play therapy actually pretty soon, and have therapeutic play sessions with all of the kiddos together who are at the house on those days, and also individual sessions with a play therapist. But we would love to include music therapy, art therapy, and actually we're going to be bringing yoga to the house as well, because there's a lot of therapeutic value in yoga and that self-regulation of emotions, and working through some of those biological responses to trauma. On average, our kiddos stay with us about 11 to 12 days. Mm-hmm. So we've seen an increase in the average length of stay. So we know that research shows that any individual, especially if there are traumatic experiences during childhood, that those can have lifelong impact on that person from childhood until death. And so when we start looking at those and helping parents figure out the best way to handle that with their kiddos, or connecting them with the resources in the community, the therapists who know the best ways to handle that and address that, then we know that we're improving those outcomes for those children and their families. That can range from just regulating themselves emotionally to their long-term, the length of their life, and how they deal with everything moving forward. And it really just takes intervention like that to help those kiddos. Play therapy is very, very important for kiddos. When we talk about the different reasons that families may have accessed or utilized Isabel's House services, from being homeless to domestic violence in the home, or kiddos seeing drug use or violence in the home, there are a lot of things that kiddos need to work through, and play therapy helps them do that. It does a lot. So when kiddos are given those tools to name and label their emotions and how they're feeling, and then we can help them deal with it too. But we don't have play therapists. We have play therapists come in and work with our kiddos one-on-one and in group settings, and we can tell a big difference after they've had a therapy with a play therapist, or a session with a play therapist. And that's really important. Kiddos need to, it's a safe way for kiddos to have those issues addressed and help them process that. We see all types of families. We see single parents, two-parent families. Just a lot of our families, almost all of them, are living in poverty though. So about 98-99% of our families are struggling. So they are experiencing a lot of different types of crises, from homelessness. About half of our families are homeless. Many are just overwhelmed, and we call it overwhelming parental stress is the official reason that they utilize Isabel's House. Some of them have a mental health or physical health crisis as well, but it could range from fleeing domestic violence or an unsafe situation to short-term incarceration, and we're also seeing more and more families that are dealing with substance abuse issues with a parent in the home, or that admitting parent wanting to get clean or sober. Well, Isabel's House was founded in response to a red flag in our community, and that was the rising rates of child abuse and neglect. And so that's where I would love to see that everyone in our community, many, many more people, are aware of abuse and neglect and trauma and the effects that it has on children and their families. And really to see that it's not something that happens to someone else. It happens in all types of families, from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, and that we all have to band together as a community and continue to do the great work that's being done and the great collaboration. And I do think in the next couple of years we'll see some major strides made in strengthening families in our community.